Okay, stop the video because kinda came into my mind other ideas to test, like workflows that can be useful for work or enterprise. And I also went a little bit deep into the rabbit hole for diffusion models and added a bunch of tools. So I think now I'm over 200 tools, and it seems that I still don't get the limit of how many tools I can add. I'm just adding and see how good it can work. And when I start getting into big stuff like PDF and video understanding and stuff like that, I start having problems with the context window because that type of stuff requires a lot of memory. Right now I'm 218 tools. Is quite a lot. But the other ideas I was thinking on it was to show, for example, how to use AI to help networking troubleshooting. And one of the things that we usually do is um, review network traffic to see patterns or understand what was being sent and stuff like that. So I wanted to see how I can implement something that can be used with consumer hardware, and I can review, for example, a capture file that usually have a lot of data and they're pretty heavy to handle with LMs. So let's see if I can show that. So start a network capture on the interface Docker 0 and the file PCAP. So I'm going to monitor the Docker network and capture the packages over there, and then I'm going to perform some network or HTTP requests to review the file. So I can see the output, the capture was just initiated, and I got the PID and the file and all that stuff. So let's put some traffic on it. So let's query the ticketing system, get all the tickets. So now from networking, I'm checking my ticketing queue or my tickets. So I'm doing API calls to the ticketing system. And the idea is to show that everything is directly from the same chat window. So these are all the tickets that I have in the queue, with some takeaways and suggestions and next steps, which is kind of cool. Now create a new ticket. The ticket is about I am reviewing the network traffic from the Docker network. So now I'm creating a ticket. That's also API calls that should be collected on the network capture. Okay, the ticket was created. I think I should be able to see it here. Review Docker network traffic. Maybe I can include other stuff. For example, I'm checking on networking and also working on tickets, but also we can also I included tools to look at, for example, accessibility. So I can query an Ldap server. So for example, list all Ldap users. Okay, so let's create a new Ldap user, AD user 7 and generate the rest of the inputs. Okay, that's in. Place all Ldap groups. So I can, for example, add the user 7 to that Ldap group. So add user 7 to SRE Ldap group. So now I should see that, oh, that didn't work. Let's try to add a better context with UID user 7, that was the name, right? Yeah, user 7. Okay, that's what done. Something that I've been working on also is kind of like reinforcement learning, not reinforcement learning or fine tuning or training. It's something a little bit different. I'm not changing the LLM itself, but what I'm doing is that, for example, if I do this, and now I remove the extra context that I have provided, and maybe I select a different um, group and I send this, it should have learned from the previous conversation that I'm talking about UID, and now I shouldn't need it for the context in order to execute this task correctly. Ah, no, it didn't work. Interesting. Hmm. Let's. This should have worked. The idea is that it should have learned from the previous conversations in order to understand when there's missing context. There you go. So that's the idea. Sometimes it requires a few tries, as you saw, but the point is that sometimes I need to provide more context in order to work, and then that will allow the LLM to have a better understanding next time when it's missing that context. And that's something I'm working on. It's not perfect, but it's kind of cool to be able to record it to see how it was learning over a few examples, and now you can reproduce it with a completely, well, it's almost the same string, but I'm changing the values and still understand that this is what I wanted to do. So let's change topic list, the members from Ldap group. So I should see, for example, the user 6 on that one. And there you have it. We have the user 6 and the user 7 that was added also previously. So now, as you can see, I switch from networking. I'm now doing accessibility and doing stuff on Ldap. So let's stop the network capture. Stop the network capture. Okay. So it's started successfully. So let's take the file. So read this PCAP and filter by HTTP request and do a recursive summary. The recursive summary is just a way for me to make sure the output fits inside the context window. You know, network captures can get quite big, and payloads and the headers and all that type of stuff. So as I'm doing a summary, it's quite general, so I just gotta make sure things get summarized. It was pretty fast. So as you can see, it was very small summary. I shouldn't have tried. It was a small capture, so I should have let it make it a little bit bigger, but it managed to capture the request from the ticketing system, as you can see here. There is a get and a post and the API tickets. This is when I get all the tickets, but it's not showing the ticket that I created. I probably shouldn't do so much summary. Anyways, it also captured the traffic on port 80,000, which is the agent itself from the ADK, and all the frequent posts as I was using the sessions and all this type of stuff. It was being tracked also by the network capture because it's on a container, and it's pretty interesting that I was able to review that, and it was pretty fast. I can probably ask other questions. Um, there is a small quick recommendation: verify the endpoint intended triggered frequently. Could be a loop. Session debugs, confirm the ticket API usage aligns with the expected flow. Any unexpected bugs might signal abuse of bugs. Consider adding rate limit and blah blah blah. So as you can see, I was able to review the network traffic, and also I can probably do that. And instead of filtering by HTTP, I can tell it to filter by Ldap. And let's see if we can pick up all the accessibility requests that we were doing. We were creating users and adding them to Ldap groups and that type of stuff. Now I should have like a summary of what happened there. Oh no, Ldap packages, so interesting. Let's try again. Ldap and Ldap has. Interesting. You should have captured stuff from Ldap. Let's see if I can do a quick test. TCP done, dinosaur, PCAP, capture PCAP. Let's see if we can do TCP port 389. Oh yeah, there's no traffic from Ldap. Yeah, I guess there was a missing filter. I should have checked the. That seems interesting. I think I didn't specify filters, right? Let me see. Yeah, I didn't specify any filters. Interesting, it didn't capture that traffic. But also, I can also tell it to do a huge summary, no filters, and see. Just review the entire thing and see what it finds. This might take some time. So it didn't fail to do the search in the PCAP because there was actually no Ldap traffic, which I was expecting to be captured. So something I probably need to check in another time. And this one you should be able to check pretty much DNS resolutions. Uh, it's probably gonna be a lot, so I'm not sure if it's gonna be able to view the entire file. But the idea is with the recursive summary to figure out a way to bring it so low that I will be able to put it into the context window. So that's kind of like a feature I'm testing, like the one that learns with the prompts. So this execution might take some time. Let's see how many lines are we looking at this point. TCP done, so PNG capture, PCAP. Oh wow, we're reviewing almost 70,000 lines on this pickup, so yeah, this is gonna take some time. Oh, I think it's finishing. Let's see if it didn't break the context window. Oh, no, it didn't. Nice. So almost 70,000 lines of network capture, which is quite some time, and reviewing that manually is a lot. Of course, doing a summary is not a good idea. You usually need to look for specific stuff, like when I was doing for the network packages. But this is kind of like an overall overview, and that I can review so much network traffic in consumer hardware, and that's kind of like the goal. And I can see, for example, it's giving me the IPs, Postgres. Oh, we can see you capture the Postgres SQL, which is the database I have on the background for the embeddings, and it kind of captured all that traffic, which I was not expecting, but it's in there. And it's a good summary. Okay, there were multiple summaries, and I can see that on the second one it referenced to support tickets and GenAI containers. The PM release the pickup analysis can be ignored. Huh? Interesting. If you need deeper insights, and it's gonna give me a command to go and take a look. So yeah, it kind of worked, and I was able to do some uh, ticketing work. I was able to do some networking work. I was able to do some accessibility work with the Ldap stuff, and I did everything directly from this window. So for example, I can continuously get all the tickets that I have from the queue. And I can probably update the ticket. This ticket 11, so update ticket with ID 11 with the following note just to make it pretty. I have reviewed the network traffic and everything seems okay. Now I'm updating the ticket from the work I have done, and I did it all on the same chat window, so that's kind of interesting. And also I can, for example, jump into another direction like FinOps and do something like get all the expenses from last week and generate a pie chart. So now I want to have some visual understanding of where my money went last week for my expenses. And now I have a nice summary from the stores I have visited and where I put the money. So I think and also I have the table with the values and a total, and I have a path to the image if I want to use it there, or I can pick it up from here. So that's kind of interesting. After working also with diagrams, which is pretty useful not just for finance, but you can create good stuff like get all the expenses and generate a line chart of month versus year. I'm not sure if he's gonna understand that. I'm too generic there. But the idea is that I can compare, for example, all the expenses. Oh yeah, it's able to pick it up. So now I have a line chart comparing all the months from all the years, and I can do a deep dive on interesting stuff that can come from the specific that I can see on this. Like for example, if you see February, it shows the exact same, well, not the exact same, but almost the exact same amount in the red line and the green line. So I have 25 and 24, so that's worthwhile investigating. So get all the expenses from February of 2024 and 2025 and compare them. Check for similarities, differences, patterns, do a deep dive. I'm not sure. Let's see if we can figure it out. Like, I'm pretty much telling the LM to do a research on those 2 months. This is, I don't even have tools for that. So this is pretty much the LM taking care of the information and figure it out on its own. So I'm quite curious to see what it's gonna show. Okay, nice. Oh wow, it's a nice report. I got a summary of the 2 months from those 2 years. I have the total, which is almost the same. It's a 3.38 differences. That's crazy. The number of transactions is different, so I did more transactions on 2025. The average spend, I actually went lower on 2025, and there's a comparison with absolute change. So dental care I spent more in 2025, 275% change. I didn't go to these stores in 2024, but I visited them in 2025. Interesting. I went a little bit more to this store, and I eat more on KFC in 2025 at 26%. Yeah, this is quite interesting. Now I can see that I didn't do or spend the money in the exact same places, but I unconsciously spent almost the exact same amount of money, even though it was on different stores and different patterns. Okay, yeah, this is the nearest supermarket, so I can I spend that a lot because it's quite close. Yeah, this is tools, gasoline. Yeah, that's quite nice. I like this type of stuff, and I can the when I started getting into the images, I kind of went into the rabbit hole and did a bunch of stuff. For example, get the expenses from last year and generate a heat map. So I just show like a line chart, and now I'm building a heat map that will give me like an idea where the money was mainly spent on 2025. And I can see the biggest spend was on the month number 6. Most of the stuff were low spendings, but I can see the patterns as to where the money was going. I can see usually at the beginning, and the middle, and not that much at the end of the month. So that's kind of interesting. And a total expending of 7 million. Interesting. So what else I can do here? Did I show up? Oh yeah, I already show a pie chart, but this doesn't only apply to finance. The idea is that everything should be like, I should be able to mix tools in every single way. So for example, if I'm generating charts, they just shouldn't be for finance or FinOps. So I can also do get all processes, by memory consumption and generate a pie chart. So now I'm going to have a pie chart that will show me the memory consumption of the processes on the system. I should have probably say like top 10, because there might be too many processes, so the chart might break. Oh, did I get the chart? Oh, you didn't get the chart. Interesting. let's do the top 10. Get top 10 processes. Well, I was able to get the top 10 processes information, but for some reason the chart did not happen. Okay. Now I can see that Python and Llama and Firefox, those are the mainly processes. And interesting, I got the table here, but didn't have it here when I was able to get the plot. Anyways, the idea is that I can use charts for different stuff, like for example get all the history from Firefox and group it by domain and show me the top 10, let's do 5, top 5 visited domains with the most views. In case you didn't understand my prompt, just making sure I'm looking for top views. Let's see if I was supposed to make a chart with that. I can see YouTube, Google, Mail, GitHub, LinkedIn. Interesting. So the idea was to create a chart with this and generate the pie chart. Wow, so many views to YouTube. And we can see YouTube is clearly taking the lead. Local stuff, Google, Web, Telegram. Oh, I can see Telegram here. Interesting. It gave me a different list, so I probably need to check on that tool. It's probably not collecting the data correctly. But the idea was to show that I can manipulate data from different sources and generate diagrams, and it's not just tied to one specific or very deterministic. The idea is that you can be mixed everything with everything, and I have noticed that the more deterministic I make the tools, the more problems I face in the future, and I have to go back and redo them in a more general way so I can mix it with everything else and make it work. I have also taken other direction like diffusion models, and I also have more networking tools like get all the lists, sending ports on the host. I think I have tools for that and stuff like that. Okay, so yeah, the listening ports kind of summarize them. It didn't provide any specifics of what I was looking for. Can also for example, I can do other stuff like generate an image of an old tricycle. Let's see what happens. I also went a little bit into the diffusion models rabbit hole. There are many cool things there, but they consume a lot of memory. But I find ones that can be used by consumer hardware, and they're quite good. I didn't expect to be this good, that I don't have a lot of usage for this type of stuff, but they have went really forward when it comes to quality. I'm quite surprised the things you can do with those right now. Like for example, this is quite the tricycle. It's quite well. I didn't specify it to be real, but it looks like 3D render, and it's a quite good generation. It looks realistic enough. Let's try something more realistic. Generate an image of an old car. Very realistic. Oh, also I included the LLM updates the prompt in order to make it a little bit better. That's why I got all this stuff. I'm not very good with the prompts for imaging, so I tell LLM to kind of push it a little bit so it can create better stuff, which is interesting to mix diffusion models with the regular LLMs and all that type of stuff. Wow, yeah, this image looks almost real. I'm trying to find something that is maybe this mirror is missing here, but I'm not sure if all cars had mirrors both ways. But this is quite good for consumer hardware. Um, that was on that. Also, I was working on different stuff. Like for example, the diffusion models is kind of interesting. Like in the past, when you were doing like computer vision and creating neural networks and creating data sets, was a real pain to do coordinates and this type of stuff for object detection. And nowadays with the multimodal, it's incredibly easy. So I was testing that out just because in the past it was so hard and I wanted to check it out. So check this out. Perform object detection on the uploaded image and find wheels. So I'm uploading this image of monster trucks and I'm gonna perform object detection like what used to be called computer vision and then initials of neural networks before all these LLM boom. This was kind of like the AI from the past, and now LLMs kind of took over all those features and they can do the same, which is quite incredible. The only thing is that neural networks focus on computer vision are way faster. This detection would probably have taken like less than a second, and the LLM takes a little bit more, but it can do most of the job on its own. I can get coordinates and draw on the picture itself. So as you can see, um, for some reason it took more labels than the ones I specified because I have a label here that is bounding the truck, which was not specified, but I do have the labels for or the coordinates for the wheels, which was what I was expecting. So I have 8 wheels. That was very good, and I do have the coordinates. In the past, you have to do this manually, which is crazy. Then now I can just prompt it out and get this type of information. Other stuff I've added, for example, I added the ability to review documents. For example, read the uploaded PDF and summarize it. Now, working with PDF as they can get quite big, it's a little bit of a hassle when you're working locally and limited memory, but you can do some workarounds, take stuff outside of the context window, and you will be able to manage pretty well. This one was quite fast, but this document, it's only 6 pages, so that's not very useful, but I did have a nice summary and it was in Spanish and it got translated to English, so that's interesting. So one thing I wanted to see is, like, for example, I got another document which is 72 pages, and this one surely can take some time. I'm gonna read the uploaded PDF and summarize it. Of course, this one will take a little bit longer. I think I have go up to 300 pages, and after that I just have context windows issues. Right now I'm at 32k, and I'm still trying to find ways to go even over or bigger, like maybe 1,000 pages or something. But I don't really do much with PDFs, so this was more me testing to see if I can have those type of capabilities. So maybe in the future I'll make it more robust. Okay, so I got a nice summary of all the topics on this book, and of course, doing summaries is not always what you want. Sometimes you just wanna like read the uploaded PDF and find everything about, and now I'm gonna tell it to expand over here. So instead of a summary, it's gonna be about systematic ANN indexing, and you should ignore any of the rest or just other topics. Because you don't always want a summary, and sometimes you need to ask stuff, or you want to look for code samples or examples. Or what I do sometimes is to focus on a topic, and then I tell it to create a tutorial, save it on my notes, and then when I have time I will follow the tutorial and see if that works. And the cool thing is that you can tell it, make a tutorial that will work on this operating system or with this version of a specific application, and that's kind of useful, that because it helps you learning and move faster. Yeah, the summary was very small. Yeah, actually, it didn't do that well, so let's try something else. Do a text binary search for so I'm kind of forcing only to return data on semantic search, no, systematic ANN indexing. Let's see if that works. Okay, it was found. You used to quickly find similar items in large search commonly recommended system and image search. Yeah, it's too small. I probably need to check why the summaries are getting too small. But that's the idea. I can kind of look and stuff inside the PDF. I'm still working on that. I've added so many tools that I don't remember all of them. Oh, something interesting is, let me see, I also perform video understanding. List all video files under chop videos non-recursive. Okay, so let's try this video. Like, view this video and tell me what it's about. So now I'm telling the LLM to watch a video and then try to understand what is the video about. So I think that's kind of interesting. This is not like transcripts, like going and get the text or the audio and make it text and then read it. This is actually trying to watch the video, and I think that's an interesting thing that is coming out of this multimodal stuff. So it's a small snippet of Rick and Morty. Is a fast-paced cartoonish ball take place inside a traditional Chinese-style tavern. Wooden Ldap. Pusher is a muscular target like warrior in armor welding sandwich axis, which is you see Pussifer. Oh, he failed capturing that, but dark clothed witch with a pointed hat opposing Pusher is Pussifer, and there you have it. Supporting crowd patrons react on the fight. Stellar birds over there. Well, anyways, the idea is, as you can see, he was able to kind of watch the short video and give me some understanding of what's been seen, which is kind of neat. And of course, this is different than like reading transcript. For example, if I do this, get the or summarize this YouTube video, that's different. That's getting the transcript and do a summary on the transcript from the YouTube video. So, downloading the YouTube video is not possible, but it will be cool to include the video and the transcript and the audio and do inferences on top of all of that to get a much better understanding. But that's a paid feature, so I cannot go there. And you see, it's a nice summary here. Can also do online searches, like for example, search online for NVIDIA app, NVIDIA news, I guess. Get the top 10 results and summarize each of URLs. So I'm now searching news for NVIDIA, getting the results and reading all the results to perform a summary from every single website that was part of the results. I was also adding stuff to generate Excel reports and stuff like that, but it seems that um, I have like no limit with the tools. As you can see, I've been jumping around different topics and they just keep going. I have a few misses here and there, but I'm able to bypass all of them directly from the chat window and emphasize that one agent is definitely a better option than having multiple agents. So now I have my summary from all the 10 results about NVIDIA news, so I can do a quick research. And the cool thing is maybe you can have sites from a specific news and then you can parse those ones and get news from a specific sites that you want. That's something that will probably work in the future. Let me see. I also working on memory. For example, on this session, I have never, like you see the whole thing that we have here, I have never mentioned my name. So I can tell it to search in your memory for my name. And it should look from all the conversations that we have in the past. And it should try to find when I have provided my name. As you can see, it's stored name. The name was successfully stored in the conversation history and search confirmation is present without any error. So, like search in your memory for my favorite color. And so this is kind of like infinite memory, but it's not that good. But it's kind of cool that I can just go back into anything that I have worked in the past and just go back there and get me the information. So that's kind of useful in that regards. Probably need to make it better, but working on that. I'm also have it integrated with my note system, but I'm also allowed media playback, like playing videos and many more things. I think this video is ridiculously long, so I'm gonna stop here. The idea is that, as you can see, having one chat window that connects to everything is much better than having multiple agents talking to agents and having all that complex infrastructure that it just make things more complex, harder. You use more tokens, way harder to maintain, and everything is very deterministic. And then if you want stuff from one agent to another, if those agents are not integrated, it won't work. So definitely having one agent on which you can just put as many tools as you want is definitely the way to go for personal use and also for enterprise. Like, I don't see this as an option for consumers, like putting this in front of a consumer, like giving 200 tools to a consumer is going to be a problem for sure. But for example, for the people inside the company, for people that work on DMCs or people that doesn't have internet, having AI on their computers to do pretty much anything is definitely the way to go for sure. And I guess I'm gonna stop here because this is too much